And we've just got a day left here before the SAG Film Awards are presented, so I wanted to go ahead and get predictions out for this one as well. And we're down to, 2 weeks almost before the Oscars? I guess 16 days technically on the day I'm recording this. So we're kind of coming down to the last stretch here, and I think SAG is going to be very, very helpful here as far as who's going to win and just how confident we are in these categories here, at least in the four acting categories. So we'll go ahead and get predictions out of the way here. This really should not take long at all. And after this, this will be just short video, guys. I'm just we'll go into SAG, and that's really about it, because we still got time before the Oscar winners, of course. So yeah, we'll kind of wait for the rest of the guilds that are not, the Writers Guild finally announced their nominations here a few days ago. But aside from them, and then I think Ace Eddie might be late as well. I know they didn't announce their nominations until after the Oscar nominations were out as well. But no, theirs is about a week ahead of the Oscars, now that I'm checking again here. So there we go. Yeah, so let's get into the SAG winners here, and we'll see how correct I am. So we'll start with the film ensemble category here for stunts. That's stunt film ensemble, I think is the correct one. Whatever. And this one, I mean, realistically, it's either Mission Impossible or John Wick when we handicap it. You've got Barbie, Indiana Jones, and Guardians also nominated here, but I just think John Wick has the more, even though Mission Impossible, you think, all the stuff there. I think John Wick is going to get the win here. It's a little more personable. The stunts feel a little more real in that one, I think, when you compare it to something like Mission Impossible, especially this last entry, which did feel a little heavier on some of the CGI and stuff. So John Wick is my pick there. And then the supporting categories, I think it's a little... these are the simple two. It's Divine Joy Randolph for supporting actress and Robert Downey Jr. for supporting actor. It's really... feels like it's predetermined at this rate. We haven't really seen... Even at BAFTA, they didn't go with the hometown favorite there in Emily Blunt. So there's really not a lot of tension there. I mean, I've heard a couple people talk about, well, what about Danielle Brooks? Her film is up for ensemble, and The Holdovers is not. But I don't know. I don't get that. I don't really get that sense. And we've seen in this category, anyways, even if the eventual Oscar winner does not get nominated in an off chance like that, like I'm thinking Regina King for Beale Street, she ended up not being nominated here. They went with Emily Blunt, who did win for A Quiet Place, which was not up for ensemble. So even in those cases, they're not afraid to go with a non-ensemble nominee in these, at least in this supporting category. So yeah, and you could argue, Sylvester Stallone won here for Creed a few years before that, and he was not in an ensemble category either. He was the only nomination for his film. So yeah, so especially here in these supporting categories, I think it helps to, or it doesn't hurt you as much if you're not up for ensemble as well. But Divine and Robert, I think, are both in good shape. Best Actress, I'll tell you what, Emma Stone, I'm sticking with her. I've got her predicted to win, and this does feel like the last spot here for Lily Gladstone to present an upset here. Because I think especially for her and her film, Killers of the Flower Moon, it really does look like Scorsese might go 0 for 10 again. The Irishman went 0 for 10. There wasn't an obvious place to award that. And with Killers, outside of Lily, again, who else are you going to award here? Scorsese's not winning director. It doesn't seem to have the stamina to win Best Picture. De Niro ain't going to win his category. It's not even up for screenplay. And a lot of those tech categories are either going to go Oppenheimer, Barbie, or Poor Things, or maybe Maestro winning in makeup. But it's not looking good for that film. So this does feel like the last place to potentially award her. If she does win, then it gets interesting. Then I'm going to have to start kind of going back and forth in my mind and kind of thinking, okay, do they want to? Is this win going to be more about like, okay, are they on board with the performance, or are they more on board with just the race factor here with her being an indigenous person? and wanting to award that? Is it more a thing for that? Is it a thing where, hey, it's a spot to award Killers of the Flower Moon, and it turns into, hey, because we've been talking, a lot of us have been talking through the season here, myself included, about how The Favorite, has kind of been the mirror image of Poor Things in the way of it could end up only winning Best Actress, even though at BAFTA it had won in a couple tech categories and stuff like that. What if Killers actually is The Favorite in that same way, where it kind of loses everything but wins Best Actress in a bit of an upset? That could still happen. I think less so if Emma does not win, or if Emma loses SAG. If Lily loses SAG. That's what I meant. It's still possible, but I think with when Olivia Colman won for Best Actress, though, at least we had the BAFTA win to go back to. Now, if Emma, for the most part, sweeps everything, the only exception, of course, would be Lily did win the Globe for drama. Then it's like, okay, that's a little further back and stuff, and I just think the math doesn't really support it there. But with Emma, yes, it does hurt a little bit that her film is not up for ensemble versus Killers of the Flower Moon is. Yeah, but I think the other thing too we have to consider here, and some people have drawn this parallel as well, and that's look at what happened last year. Michelle Yeoh had kind of lost a few awards. She'd lost BAFTA. She had lost at Critics' Choice to Cate Blanchett. We did see, I think part of the reason Michelle was able to pull it out, not only here at SAG but also at the Oscars, was the strong passion for the film. And how it started kind of sweeping a few things here and there and ended up with, 7 Oscar wins or something like that? It did very, very well. I think in this case, Killers, I'm not sensing a lot of passion around the film. There is passion for Lily's performance, but I think there's also a lot of gushing and a lot of support and passion as well for Emma's performance as well. And you could argue maybe a little bit more so for her film as well. So I think in that perspective, too, I'm going to pick Emma Stone. Now for Best Actor. I do think, in this case, again, because I think, going back to Best Actress, one quick second, yes, I do think if Emma wins here, it's much more probable she wins the Oscar. If Lily wins here, then we've got a race. But for Best Actor, I think if Cillian does win this for Best Actor for Oppenheimer, I think the race is over. I think Cillian wins at the Oscars as well. And it's kind of weird. I thought back to this. I'm like, I thought back to 2 other films that are comparable to Oppenheimer in this way. Both of them were biopics, and both of them were from respected directors. And in one case, the director had won before. In the other case, the director had won his first Oscar that year. I'm thinking Lawrence of Arabia, and I'm thinking Gandhi. So I think Oppenheimer has the chance to repeat and do one of 2 things. And it's going to fall into either the Lawrence of Arabia camp, or it's going to fall into the Gandhi camp. In the case of Gandhi, we saw, we did see, the film win a few technical prizes, won Best Director and Picture, and Best Actor went along for the ride. That was for Ben Kingsley. And that was actually a pretty competitive year for Best Actor, too. You had, Dustin Hoffman, you had, wasn't Jack Lemmon nominated that year? I think he was. Yeah, you had a few other contenders in there, so it wasn't a clear, obvious race, I don't think. Even though, as I recall, though, I think Kingsley did win at least a couple things. Obviously, SAG was not around, so we didn't have that. And I think BAFTA, that was in a weird time for BAFTA, too, where certain releases, would not qualify until the following year. So you had some cases where, films from like the 84, for example, just as, because that was around that time. You could have films from 83 that were released in the U.S. in 83, but didn't make it to the Brits and the greater UK until late enough in 84 where it had to compete the next year. So I don't have the time to look it up here. But in that case, Ben Kingsley went along for the ride. He won Best Actor. Lawrence of Arabia, though, it won a bunch of technical prizes, one for Best Director, one for Best Picture, but Peter O'Toole got left out. And they went with Gregory Peck. And, I think, again, both of these scenarios are like, hey, one or the other's going to happen, I think, here. Because I think it's either Paul Giamatti or it's Cillian Murphy. Bradley, I think, I had him pegged pretty early in the season as the winner here for Maestro and stuff. But it just seems like, the general consensus seems to be amongst voters. It's like, we like you, Bradley, and we're going to give you an Oscar soon enough. Just not this time. We like these 2 a little better. So that's kind of the way it's going. But anyways, but for tomorrow night for the winner, this is going to be odd. I'm also going with a film and a performance that did not get in for ensemble. I'm going the holdovers here. And I think we've seen, cases like this before at SAG where they're not afraid to award, a film multiple times. We saw it last year with Everything Everywhere All at Once. It won basically everything it was nominated for except for Stephanie Hsu in the supporting actress category. Jamie Lee Curtis was nominated against her, and she won over her. Think of Three Billboards. Again, it won everything that it could have except for a category where we had 2 actors nominated. In that case, Woody Harrelson lost to his co-star, Sam Rockwell. So they're not afraid to not spread the wealth and shut out a couple of movies. In this case, I really don't think, Barbie, for example, doesn't look like it's really in a good position to win anything. I think American Fiction, there's just too much competition in the categories it's nominated for. And probably same with, unless you go Lily Gladstone, it would be the same case for Killers of the Flower Moon. But that all being said, I just think in this case, Giamatti being the older actor and stuff, I just think he's got the advantage here. Even though we did see Cillian Murphy win at BAFTA, I do think that you can explain away, hey, he is a hometown favorite. That's a spot where he can win, but we might see. Whoops, who's calling me? Some scam, I guess, because it had some company on there I didn't recognize. Anyways, without that interruption, we'll continue here. Where was I going? Broke up my train of thought entirely. Okay, Cillian, yeah. So getting that hometown advantage at BAFTA, I think we can explain it away that way. We did see Giamatti in with the holdovers win at Critics' Choice with Cillian nominated in the same category. And again, a case where we did see, similar to the BAFTAs there, in a case where the holdovers was not nominated as much as Oppenheimer was, which is true here as well, because Oppenheimer has 4 nods and holdover only has 2. And yeah, we know, sometimes when we have cases like this, you can say, well, are they watching that other movie? The holdovers, we know they're watching it because Divine got in and she's going to win her category. Even if they're name-checking her at this point, I think enough of them have seen him and they like Giamatti and he's worked with everyone. We've got his television stuff as well. His career goes back a little further than Cillian's, so I just think he's got this one. So, and again, if he wins here, we've got maybe a little bit of suspense at the Oscars, because again, we could still see that scenario. Even if Paul wins tomorrow night, we could see that scenario where Cillian still ends up with the Oscar win, and he goes along for the ride as Oppenheimer starts winning more and more stuff. And I think it's a little harder, though, because if Cillian wins tomorrow night, I don't know. That makes it really, really tough for Giamatti. I just don't know if we're going to see a weird flip there. Yeah. I just don't know if we'd see a flip where we see something like, for example, Viola Davis versus Meryl Streep, the year of Iron Lady versus The Help. There we'd seen Viola win at SAG, and I believe she won the... No, the Globe went to Meryl. Actually, now that I think about it. I gotta pull that up again. I think Critics' Choice also went to Viola Davis. I should probably triple check that before we confirm that. Confirm it here before we do that. Okay, so let's see. BAFTA, because I remember she won BAFTA. Streep. Meryl Streep won at BAFTA. And then, yeah, she did win Best Actress Drama at the Globes, and that was over Viola Davis, as I recall. Because they wouldn't have stuck her in drama, or in comedy actress. They did not. Okay. But yeah, The Help won for, again, her performance more specifically, did win at, I know she won at SAG. Yep, she won there, and it also won for Ensemble. And then, yes, she did win at Critics' Choice. So this would be kind of a weird thing if Cillian, were to win BAFTA and he wins SAG and then loses the Oscar to Giamatti. That would be a weird combo. That'd be kind of a weird combo, and I don't really see it happening. Anyhow, so, yeah. I don't know. I just have a little bit of a gut feeling on Giamatti winning here, so that's also part of the reason I'm going with him. And then for film ensemble, I think they'll just stick with Oppenheimer. I don't know, I think there's enough just overall general respect for the movie, even if there's not like burning passion for it. I just, in this category, I don't see Barbie pulling out an upset win. I don't see something like The Color Purple pulling off an upset win. So, yeah, I would say it's Oppenheimer's to lose. All right. Yep, like I said, I think pretty short and simple here today. That's all we got. So we will go ahead and wait until tomorrow night. I do not have a Netflix subscription. That's the only way to watch it from what I've read a couple places. So I'm just going to come back once they're over and we'll talk about it. Now, again, I'll have to look up. I'm sure the speeches will be on YouTube pretty quick. So I'll try to watch a couple of them maybe as the evening goes along. But, maybe before because I would imagine ensemble for film is going to be the last thing. So maybe right before that, they'll get the Best Actress or Best Actor speech on YouTube right before that. So anyways, yep. All right. That's all I got for now. So we will be back tomorrow after the awards are over, and we'll see what impact that has on the Oscar races.